Hi everyone, it is Jenny Henderson from Chrysalis Business Support and welcome to another episode of Self Cocoon TV. Today I am delighted to be joined again by my good friend Jason French of Business Doctors.
Hi, Jen.
Jason runs Business Doctor. Good morning, Jason. Thanks for being here again today. So Jason runs Business Doctors, working with business owners to help them to implement their strategy, put their business planning together, and really get the right processes and systems in place for that growth to take them and scale them up to the next level. He also is a Sterling Advanced Business Coach, which is a peer-to-peer mastermind and masterclass group run by Sterling Networks. And also, if that wasn't enough, in his, in any spare time that he has left, he is also a lecturer at Worcester University in their business school and helps our youngsters understand what needs to happen in the world of business. Jason comes from a long career in the army. And I'm pleased to say I've seen him in a lot of tartan stuff. So there's an element of the Scottishness in the regiment that he was. But thankfully for you, he's not going to make you run any drills or go over any assault courses when he works with you. Or is he? He may have that up his sleeve. But, Jason, I suppose in terms of, an analogy at the moment, as business owners, we're kind of running through assault courses at the moment with everything that's going on, aren't we? So again, thank you very much. Welcome. And how have you been? What's been going on?
Hi, Jen. Thanks for having me again. It's brilliant to be back. And I've been busy, like everybody else. COVID had a massive impact on what I do. Fortunately, I've had the advantage of working with the Worcester University, which stabilized my life. So I'm very fortunate to have had that option. But as we've gone through things and as we're coming into this kind of new phase of the entire world pandemic, as well as Brexit and all these kind of things, business has picked up quite significantly with people looking to plan their future and take control of events to what extent they can. So really busy at the moment, really exciting stuff going on. So really happy to be here.
Great, fantastic. So tell me a little bit more. I know you and I have talked, and obviously we talk regularly as part of our networking and as part of our relationship in supporting business owners and working together quite closely on that. So, sort of describe to me what's going on in the business world at the moment, what's happening with people and what should we be expecting and what can we do about things, and what kind of support is out there at the moment for business owners, because there's quite a lot, isn't there, really?
Absolutely. I think, when we last talked, it was very early on in the pandemic, and everything had very recently turned over. And I would imagine most businesses around the countryside were suffering from some sort of shock of capture, if you like, trying to make heads or tails of what was going on, what it all meant, what immediate support was available to them, what money they could get, and all these kind of things. And there was a massive kind of outlaying of support, but in a chaotic fashion. So it tied up all the accountants, all the business advisors and things, just trying to make head or tails of the rules, if nothing else.
And the new words of furlough that no one had ever heard of.
New words, new terms. Am I eligible? Am I not? People falling through the cracks, changes in policy, etc., etc. So there was this kind of morass of advice, of opportunities and things like that were going. And at that beginning point,
Sorry about that, everybody. I think I lost a little bit of internet connection, so hopefully we've not lost too much of the video. But Jason, you were just explaining about where things are now coming out of, so back over to you.
Absolutely. So after all of that chaos that was going on, things kind of settled down, policies became clearer, the entire accountancy profession managed to catch up with everything, people went on furlough, and the government support kicked in. And that was all great. And for some businesses, actually, they began to recover. People started getting out and about. And again, some industries really started to recover quite well and very quickly. construction, the housing market, and all those kind of things began to actually boom because all the stimulus stuff started coming through. But the virus was not finished with us, and we're now in a situation really where the real crisis might be starting, I'd even argue. So all of that chaos and uncertainty is coming back, and this time in a different way, and in a lot of ways that the immediate flinging of support towards us can't really happen in the same way again. So that's the background to the context, what I would like to sort of talk through today, and how I think people should be thinking, I guess, rather than to give them specific things they can do. But firstly, I'd say, you know, cash remains a huge thing. You know, there would be a number of people who were thinking that things were calming down and normalizing again, and we're back into uncertainty, and keeping hold of your cash, not spending it at the moment, is probably a really, really good idea, because the real effects of the shutdown haven't really reached us yet. A world without stimulus, a world without the support. So as support is removed, furlough ends, all those payments that we deferred start becoming due. The fact that we didn't pay tax for a year, but now we've got 2 years of tax to pay, etc., etc. So early next year, I think there will be a cash crunch for a lot of businesses. So if you have the ability to put away money, especially if you're thriving now, stash that cash and keep it there, because not only will you want it to be resilient, but you will also want it to take opportunities as they come.
Do you think, Jason, all the work that people had to do in the early part, so when we went through that kind of, you know, oh my God, what do I do? Do you think that's going to help build the foundation for where we need to get to next? Or do you think people were in too much turmoil to sort of be at that thought process and that planning process at that time?
It's a bit of both. I think at the very early stages, it was completely reactive, and people were thinking, how can I go about doing what I've always done in this new environment? But as that passed, people had a lot of time during proper lockdown for a lot of introspection and looking at themselves to go, firstly, what have I been doing for the last 10 years? You know, a lot of people have never had the time to step back and really look at their business from a little bit from afar and go, what was I actually doing? And also the fact that value propositions have now changed. You know, is what you do the same? Will it be the same? Your goods and services and whatever you provide might have climbed in priority in your customers' eyes. They might have fallen in priority. Your chosen price range and target market might be completely different now. Has the priority of your goods and services fallen for one cohort of people and raised for another? You know, is it a different set of people that you're now selling to? And similarly, your product mix. You might have had a main product and a sort of side hustle, and you're finding that you're actually living on the side hustle at the moment while the main product is not working. So there's a lot of things that have changed in terms of the value proposition and what it is you do. And a lot of people discovered that and started to make changes around that, and to make longer lasting decisions going, you know, are we going to be online forever now that we've forced that, etc. And then you can look at the operation, because if the value proposition has changed, well, then your whole process and systems that have been optimized for how things were in January, February, are completely different. So there'll be parts of that whole chain that you're not using at all. There's some parts that you're not using that you will use again, some parts that you're using that you'll never use again, and they're gone forever. And that sadly includes people, you know. So that the mass redundancies are starting. If you go onto your LinkedIn profile, you know that the open for work banners are popping up everywhere. As you said, the recruiters that you're working with in the building are busy. And that's, it's a function of change. It's a function of people being made redundant out of necessity. It's a function of people being made redundant because people have looked at their business processes for the first time in 10 years and realized that they're out of shape. And so, lots of changes have made. And if you are unlucky enough to have had to make people redundant, well, parts of those people's jobs will have been redistributed amongst your current workforce, which temporarily wasn't a problem. But as we move into making things permanent, all the people who have taken on functions from somebody who's been made redundant have now got different job descriptions. Are you now paying them correctly? Have they been empowered properly, trained properly, et cetera, et cetera? So all of those knock-on effects start becoming due as the new normal becomes normal. Similarly, if you've got people working from home who weren't working from home, formalizing that relationship, you have health and safety implications. You have to have, ergonomic workspaces and all these kind of things that didn't have to be thought about when you just had to say, look, you're working from your dining room table now, so deal with it. So lots of change there.
Yeah, absolutely. And the worst case scenario, I guess, is that the business owner has taken on a whole load more responsibility of getting back to doing the doing because they've had to. And that's moved them away from actually making sure that they've got one eye on the future and getting that planning process done. Because, if they've had to suddenly step back into the breach where people have been furloughed or they've had to make people redundant, suddenly you've got the business owner working longer hours, trying to do, multiple different facets of a role now. And if they get their heads too entrenched in that, then they're not going to be able to keep themselves moving forward to be able to see and get that planning stage and get that proper processes back in place, really.
Absolutely, because you've hit the nail on the head exactly there, because the instinct and the imperative when there's that kind of chaos is to look down and in when the ones who are going to gain advantage are the ones who are looking up and out, because chaos is not only bad news. The shake-up really affords opportunities for people. There may be competition that's disappeared that wasn't there before. There might be barriers to entry that used to exist that don't exist anymore. Certain standards or things that have stopped people from bidding for contracts and things like that might have disappeared or been relaxed or changed, but you can't find that out if you're looking down and in. And so it's a great leveling of the overall playing field. It might have knocked you down a few steps, but when you get up, you'll be on an equal footing of everybody around in a pretty a pretty rich environment of opportunity, because everything's changed. So a lot of that's been thrown in the air, and people who have captured chunks of markets and things like that, but have had them ripped out of their hands and thrown in the air for everyone. So if you think that way, and you've surrounded yourself with a team that has survived this, a team that has gone through this. I always say that experience is never fun in the gaming. And I would say anybody who's in the working environment, in this environment, is about as experienced as anybody's going to get. So you're going to have a really tight, experienced team who have had a lot of introspection, probably know the in and outs of the business better than they ever have before, because they've looked at it. And for those people, opportunities are everywhere. For anybody who can look, think, decide, and then act, has massive opportunity. And to be able to do that, there's a huge amount of support already available. So the programs that I'm aware of that are looking at the moment, Hereford Worcestershire Chambers of Commerce are bidding for a peer-to-peer European funded program that provides sort of mastermind support, not very different from the Sterling Advance type, which allows people to get together with similar businesses and talk through their business challenges, learn from each other, and learn from an expert running it. The University of Worcester's teamed up with Enterprise Worcester, and they're putting together program of entrepreneurship support, teaching youngsters how to start businesses. There's a whole cohort of graduates who are going to come out into a very, very tough employment environment, and getting those people in the entrepreneurial spirit and ready to start businesses will be brilliant. The British Library have a thing called the Business and IP Centres. They've got funding to run COVID-specific support programs, one of which I'm bidding for at the moment. Worcester Business Central, through Blue Orchid and all those sort of organizations already have different support running. So there's masses out there, masses of things, and business owners should get on these programs because they signpost you to help. They give you ideas, they show you opportunities, they help you network with people you haven't networked before. And ultimately, those who are helped will do better than those who aren't helped. So go get helped.
Yeah, yeah. And, again, when it's being handed to you on a plate like that, why would you not? If it's there and the opportunity is there, and you can, I know you've applied for some grants, some of your clients you've been helping to get through for some grant funding, and they've got it. And that just means that they're able to take that next step to move forward and to, to get there, to start looking towards the future and start putting the proper planning in place now, which will help them to grow and get through and thrive really into the future. So
yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it surrounds actually knowing that these things exist. Now they advertise a lot, but for the small business owner who's got the world on their shoulders, they've got finance stuff, they've got bank stuff, they've got accountancy, tax stuff, etc., etc. Again, they're looking down and don't necessarily know that these things exist. So you and I are the people who can signpost them to the free funded support, which is really good, but B, I can't believe there won't be other rounds of stimulus, there won't be other rounds of specific support to hire in the professionals that you need to apply those learnings to your specific business situation. And you can get in somebody like yourself to do systems, somebody like me to do strategy, somebody like an IP lawyer if you've got something new, you've got process experts, you've got all sorts of people, marketing, all sorts of people who can turbocharge your business that you've planned. So, I reckon either you or I could either signpost somebody to there or help somebody to get their heads up and out and planning for the future.
Yeah, and it's also important, isn't it? And I know, like you, over the last couple of months, I've been extremely lucky in being quite busy because, people did look at their systems and processes. They were starting to look and go, oh, actually, one, they had the time to just take that back and go, do you know what? I've been meaning to do this for ages. Let's do it now. Or they had to quickly change their business model because, like you said, suddenly one of their value propositions changed, or their programs had to change to being from face-to-face to online, and we had to develop new systems and new processes to help with that. And there's been a lot of good that's come out of that in different ways and different shapes and forms. So it's been good, and again, working with you and your knowledge and your information about what you bring and how you help business owners is invaluable at this time, I think. And we've had a lot of feedback in terms of that and how it really has helped people to move forward. So and again, like you say, there's lots of stuff out there that people should be looking at. So what I'll do is I'll get those links, guys, and I'll be putting them in the comments posts as to where you can be going, what you should be looking at, what you should be doing, so that we can make sure that you're signposted to those places that will really help you. And if you want a conversation with Jason, reach out to him. His contact details will be below, and I'm sure he'll be delighted to have a conversation with you on how you can kickstart and get started. Oh, excuse me, and where you can be moving forward too. So excellent, fantastic. Anything else, Jason? Anything else we wanted to raise or we wanted to talk about today?
No, I'd love to give you a shout out. I've been a client of Jenny's for quite a while, and her professionalism, putting together my own sales pipeline has been invaluable, and I shall continue to use you as well. And a big shout out for Sterling Networks, who've put together the advanced mastermind program, which is a little bit like the Chambers peer-to-peer type stuff. Really, really good stuff, and it's great listening to businesses exchange ideas, because it's amazing the ideas of one business that apply to another, and the conversation never would have otherwise happened. So huge amount of value flying around there. And then networking in general, this is something that people just really don't do enough of. And again, your incentive system, and if you're a business with a model of face-to-face selling and word of mouth selling, that can be systemized so incredibly well using your system. Again, exploring those is really beneficial to people.
That's really kind of you to say. Really appreciate it. And as you kept talking about 10 years and people looking back 10 years. Chrysalis is 10 years old this year. I went self-employed October 2010 and incorporated as a limited company January 2011. So I'm a bit like the Queen. I'm going to have two celebrations, one for when I went self-employed and one for when Chrysalis Support Limited started in January. But I took the opportunity, I have a lovely vision board that now sits up above my desk, and that's one of the things that I did in furlough, was actually just sit back and look at where am I going? Let's put my vision down. Let's actually start plotting this and looking at it, and really making sure that I've got it. And you talk about networking. One of the beautiful things about networking that I've found over the last 6 to 8 months is, yes, we go networking for the purpose of referrals and to build those relationships, but there is a massive support network in play through our networking activities. And I've been extremely fortunate that there's been a number of people in my networking groups who I've been able to call on for support, advice, just to G me up when things, might have, not looked great. And, you're instrumental in that as well. And you've been a great support to me. So thank you. It's, again, I love, Jason and I get together on a monthly basis. Obviously, we see each other fortnightly on networking, but we make sure that we have our monthly one-to-ones to talk about what's going on with each other's business. And, it's a great way of getting to know someone in your network, to see how you can be working better together to support your clients so that we can all be successful as we go through that. So, it's a pleasure to have you back on my little Self Cocoon TV little show, as I've published it and as I'm calling it. Jason, thank you very much for your time again. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, guys. I hope you found that useful. Look out for the links below. As Jason's mentioned, a whole series of places where you can go for support. And if Jason or I can be of any help to you, please do reach out, give us a message, contact us, and we'd be delighted to set up conversations with you to help you. And let's see how successful we can be in 2021. So thank you so much again, Jason. And guys, I will see you all on another episode soon.